We have a lot to talk about, so I'm just going to get this stuff out of the way first. Be sure to like this video if you found yourself enjoying it, and subscribe to the channel if you want the best college, Madden, whatever, anything football related news possible. Real life too. We're going to be doing an off-season deep dive soon. Alright, now let's get into the video. There's a lot, man. There's a lot. Let's go. Dynasty is the biggest game mode in the game, and EA knew that, so they released a 6-minute video on it. That might not seem like a lot, which for other companies it's really not, but usually these videos are 2 to 3 minutes long, so think about how much information I've been putting in the last couple videos. It's going to be double that today. So despite what we were hearing before this video, it actually seems like online Dynasty is coming, when people were claiming it wasn't. They made it similar to Madden, where you can have 32 people in a franchise like in Madden, so you can have 32 people in your Dynasty, which is pretty good. I mean, that's pretty significant. Adding to this, you will be able to play with your friends for up to 30 seasons, so you shouldn't be running out of time. I want to include this because I know there's going to be at least one person that's worried about this. For the new 12-team playoff, you don't have to play just during the time it's going on. You can play anytime you want. I know that might seem obvious to some of you, but not all of us play video games like that. So, especially EA, which, if you have in the last couple of years, that's good for you. So not everyone really understands how these games work. So it's not going off a real-time event. It's going off of, honestly, nothing. It's your timing. So just, if you were worried about that, nothing to worry about. You can play in the playoffs whenever you want. It's not like a December, January specific type thing. Okay, now it's time to talk about the recruiting. This will probably take up the largest portion of the video, so get prepared, man, get prepared. EA started off this portion of the video by stating, the way to build a perennial championship contender is through high school recruiting and not the transfer portal, which I actually really like that. Because now you could make the debate it's more important, the transfer portal. I wouldn't go that far. I feel like it's almost free agency of actual sports. Like, it's the icing on the cake, not the cake, if you know what I mean. Can there be sometimes where that can be the cake? I mean, yeah, you see it all the time. I mean, I know it's a whole different sport, but even basketball, I mean, KD and Kyrie, when they signed with the Nets, they were the cake. They were not the icing. LeBron to the Lakers, the foundation, not the icing. Football, it's a little different. Saquon to the Eagles is the icing. He's not the foundation. Are there times, once again, where they're the foundation? Yes, but very rarely. Brady to the Buccaneers, you can make a point he was a foundation, but I mean, I really think that team was stacked. Brady was just a good quarterback. You add him to that, and the team kind of flowed. Peyton, I think he was a foundation when he signed with the Broncos, but that doesn't really happen too much. The only times they're really the foundation are for quarterbacks, and I think that should stay the same way, and I think that's how they did it. So bravo to EA for actually doing something good. Each recruiting class is filled with 3,500 players, which is a lot. And listen, they did something really cool. So you know how in real life, like Florida, Texas, and Georgia born players are usually like the highly recruited players? They did that in here too. In like specific areas too. So South Florida and Metro Atlanta, that's cool, man. I really like that addition. In the video, they put a key emphasis on recruiting players that you have a chance to land. This is better for your program because if you spend time on people that you can actually land and not gunning for the very, very, very highly recruited players, unless you're Georgia or Bama, you're probably not going to get them, you know, more prestige in terms of football, more money. It's just hard to compete with. So they took that from real life. So if you're, let's say, a UNC, could you land a 4 or 5 star here and there? Yeah, but don't fully load up on or don't try to fully load up your roster on them because it's just not going to work. So stick with those 3 stars and stick with those low 4 stars if you could get them, is what the video was basically saying. A player's interest in your program will be graded off of 14 factors. Here, I'll put them on the screen. It's a lot to read. So the 14 are academic prestige, athletic facilities, brand exposure, campus lifestyle, championship contender, coach stability, coach prestige, conference prestige, playing time, pro potential, playing style, proximity to home, so how close it is to home, program tradition, and stadium atmosphere. There is also a deal breaker in this game. So what that means is they have, or should I say, each recruit has 4 very important traits that they want in the school, and if you can't fulfill them, you're locked out. You have no chance of recruiting them, which I think is realistic, because man, some kids just don't want to leave home. Like Stephon Diggs, he was a 5-star recruit. I think he went to Maryland. Now, is Maryland a good school? Yes, but he could have went to Bama in schools like that, but he lost his dad. He wanted to stay close with his brother and his mom, so he stayed home. Now, I think that's pretty realistic. I really, really, really like how they're going in a realistic direction when it comes to how teams build schools and how players think about their decisions of what school they want to go to. And just like in real life, verbal commitments really don't mean that much. It's not official until pen hits the paper. So as easy as it is for someone to commit to you, it's just as easy to decommit. So the race is not over until you see them in your jersey, basically. While you're recruiting players from the transfer portal and from high school, you want to be, as in the video states, you want to be in the top 8 schools to start off, and then you want to work your way up. You want to land in the top 3. From what the video is saying, if you don't land in the top 3, it's a very outside shot to land a recruit. It's what I'm hearing. When you go on visits for these players or when they come to your school, you want the timeline to match up for both parties, because you want to keep the player interested, and you want to you want to make it seem like you care about them. And then if they're kind of turned off by one thing, you can persuade them with other things. So you can have a pitch. So there's a thing called a soft sell, hard sell, and a sway. The pitches are pretty self-explanatory, right? You're pitching, it's like an elevator pitch, kind of. I mean, more in depth, but the basics. And if they don't like that, you move to the sway, where you do everything in your power to be like, okay, yeah, we don't have this, but we have blank, blank, like Bama. Well, I was going to say they don't have fun, but I mean, if you see the cars they've been driving recently. But early in the Saban administration, you were probably thinking, okay, yeah, we probably don't have that much fun. But then you say, well, look at how much winning we do, and look how many players I get drafted. Like Saban talking, look how many players get drafted from this school, look how much money they make, stuff like that. That would be a sway. You also get recruiting boosts by doing complimentary visits. So a wide receiver and a quarterback, which is a cool addition. I don't really quite understand that. Like, I get the thought process, like the quarterback and the receiver, but these are 2 guys that most likely have never met before. They might know of each other, but they have never met. So I don't know how one visit could really like convince someone to be like, okay, well, listen, man, I got my QB right here. Like, connections aren't made that fast, at least for the majority of players, in one visit. So cool addition, but I don't know. It's fine. It's fine. Last major thing with the recruiting, I know once again this might be self-explanatory to others if you really follow college football, but the transfer portal leash is way shorter than recruiting. So what I mean by that is the time period is a lot shorter. It's probably cut into a third or a fourth of the time you get to actually recruit in from high school. So the transfer recruit, you gotta work quick, fast, effective. I mean, you do for high school too. Again, I was saying like you could sway and stuff like that. That's going to be harder to do for the transfer portal, because think about how many schools want them, and you're going to have little time to convince them. So you got to make the pitches good, cohesive, and strong. So customization is really strong in this game. Starting off with the conferences, you can actually make the conferences how you want them. You could have a 20-team super conference like they were thinking about doing in soccer. I mean, that might be fun. I wouldn't recommend it that much, though. It kind of takes the fun out of like the lower clubs. You could go back to the original format. So like, you know, the Pac-12 one was actually 12 teams. Or you could just make it exactly how you want. You could throw Michigan in the ACC. You could throw Bama in the Big Ten. Something like that. If you want. I think it's at least a cool option to consider. And I don't know if I talked about this on a past video, but there will be team customization. So, logo, stadium, I mean, I would believe. So you can make the teams how you want them. I don't know about names. I think you can make them a new name. I just don't know if like there's a preset, like a list. But I'm assuming you can make them what you want. There's also coach customization this year, meaning that you don't have to be a head coach. You could be an OC or a DC, or you could be an OC and a DC and work your way up to head coach. I think that's pretty cool. So you could go a really realistic route like Cliff Kingsbury, or you could just, just take the starting or take the head coaching job and never look back, which is what I would recommend unless you really, really, really want like a road, like a long road. Which I mean, you can have a franchise for 30 years. So if you want to do that, I mean, more power to you. I'm going to be doing the head coaching stuff though, me personally. When you make your coach, you can choose between 3 specialties: motivator, recruiter, and tactician. For motivator, the bio is get your players to play their best by boosting their ratings and composure. Nobody has it better than us. So like a Jim Harbaugh, obviously. Recruiter, Jimmy and Joes, not X's and O's. You scout faster and recruit better than any other type of coach. So I mean, honestly, God, you could look at like Matt Rule. I mean, how did he land Dylan Raiola? Whatever. That's beyond me. He gonna be great, Dylan, I'm telling you. And then tactician, boost your players' ratings on game day, scheme up the big plays, and let the visor fly. So recruiter and tactician probably are the 2 best. Motivator, I mean, Saban, I mean, you can make, Saban was all 3. I mean, he was a freaking alien. You really can't compare him, but I guess, I don't know. That's interesting. You know what? I'm not even going to give my opinion on that. I'm just going to let go because I don't even know. I really don't know my opinion. I think probably, once again, recruiter and tactician, but motivator, it doesn't look awful too reading it again. I don't know. Each different type of coach has a different skill tree, meaning that each coach grows differently. Or if you grow your coach enough, you can actually develop a hybrid skill tree, meaning you can have multiple specialties. Once again, really realistic. You got the Harbaughs, the Sabans, the Smarts. I mean, because all the great coaches, they're good at everything. I mean, if you go down the list of the all-time greats, there's not really just motivators or recruit. They're great at everything. So once again, great addition. I mean, this game is it's ridiculous. There's also something called the coaching carousel, which could be used for you or for your coordinators. So you could get offers from other schools, like your dream school. Let's say you start off at, for instance, let's just say UCF, but you want to get to Bama. Well, you work your way up, and then you could eventually get offers from like those type of high-level schools. Or you could also use this for coordinators. Like if someone leaves for the NFL, someone leaves for a head coaching job in college, you replace these in the coaching care. So it's kind of the transfer portal of coaches, if you will. And that's really the only really important stuff I have for y'all today. Once again, I don't know how many times I gotta say this, but any support I get from y'all literally means the world to me. Like, I love all 8 of my subscribers, bro, and it's only gonna go up. And I'm truly blessed for everything I have. Like, the fact I have a video with 100 views right now it's crazy to me. The fact I've only been doing this for, I think, about 2 weeks, it's crazy. I mean, I was thinking about, like, before ideas and stuff for, like, taking action. It's only been 2 weeks. It's just crazy, man. I can't wait to continue this ride with y'all riding into the new game. I'm going to have so much content prepared. It's not even funny. I love y'all, man. We run this, and I want you to run it too, baby. I love y'all. We out.